All right. You must now pass the obstacle course. Survive this, and you're on the front lines of keeping New Jersey safe.
Meet Paul Blart.
Sorry about the test, Dad.
I'm gonna get him next year. I am. Here we go. Pie. It just fills the cracks of the heart. Go away, pain.
He's always been dedicated
Paul Blart, mall cop.
to protecting
We got a high roller.
the West Orange Pavilion Mall.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to issue a citation.
Can you validate this?
Sir, I'm warning you, sir. Sir, you're a nasty old man.
From Columbia Pictures
Our security's fine, but ultimately we rely on the hope that nothing ever goes down.
There's some crazy people trying to take over the mall.
Now, help is on the way.
Reports are they're inside the bank.
Until then,
I need you to exit the building immediately.
I took a sworn oath to protect this mall and all inside it.
Well, Sergeant, looks like you got your eyes on the inside.
there's Paul Blart.
Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the movie podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is, well, by golly, by goodness, it's Grayson.
What up?
What up?
Not much. Yeah, this episode we are definitely talking about the second option there, the bad.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I want to address somebody very specific. So let me get his name up really quick. This man has been harassing me on YouTube, and I say that lovingly. He's been lovingly harassing me. So his YouTube username is Diogiri Yadev 8399.
Okay.
This man has commented 3 separate times on our YouTube videos that I should watch the film Sardar Udham, which is it's an Indian film.
Okay.
And look, I've already responded to you, buddy, but and I've told you twice now, it's on my list. I'm gonna watch it. You just gotta give me a minute. Every time we post a new episode, he's like, "Have you watched it yet?" I'm like, "Not yet. I'm getting there."
Excellent. Well, it's on our list.
It's on our list. It's on my. I have a long flight coming up this week. I'll
There you
probably
go.
watch it then. So just hang tight. I will let you know as soon as I've watched it. Please stop harassing me. I can't
Nice.
sleep at night. But no, seriously, thank you for commenting. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer. It looks good. I'm excited to watch it, but I have to have 2.5 hours where I'm not doing anything else, and that's hard to come by sometimes. So
Yeah.
but anyway, that's not what we're watching this week. Or watched. We're not currently watching it.
No.
We watched Paul Blart, Mall Cop, which is a 2008 action comedy in quotation marks
Yeah.
film, which is directed by one Steve Carr, who we will come back to because I have a very interesting fact to throw at you.
boy.
This film has a script which was written by Kevin James, which is the title actor of this movie, and the screenwriter Nick Bakay or Bakay. I'm honestly surprised this movie was written by anybody at all, but regardless,
Yeah.
the film stars one Kevin James as Paul Blart, Mall Cop, with support from Jayma Mays, Keir O'Donnell, Bobby Cannavale, and Peter Garrity. This may shock you to your very core, but this film has a 34% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
I know, with a 43% audience score, about equal, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
The film, shock upon shock, does not pass the Bechdel test.
No.
There's 2 women, at the very least. They both have a name. However, when they are speaking, they are talking about Paul Blart.
Yes.
So, and finally, the synopsis from IMDb, which you can pretty much get from the title, but I'll read it anyway. When a shopping mall is taken over by a gang of organized crooks, it's up to a mild-mannered security guard, to save the day.
They're crooks, but they're also parkour enthusiasts.
That's how you know this movie was made in 2009, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I might have actually said 2008 earlier, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
2009 is like peak parkour, right?
Oh yeah.
Everybody was doing parkour.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, is there some there's some parkour, there's some BMX in this,
Yeah. There's some skateboarding.
there's some real outdated cell phone technology.
Oh yeah.
There's
The
some
bedazzled phone. Oh boy.
there's
Oh
some
boy.
real outdated attitudes about women and
Yep.
South Asian people,
Yep.
and just a whole host of things. But
Yeah.
what did you think of the movie?
By definition, it is a movie.
It sure is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's. I think there's a good reason I never watched it, because I
Yeah.
remember seeing trailers for it, and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I think that's how I feel about it. Eh.
Yeah, it's it is exactly what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
It's an action comedy, I would say, in name only. There is no action in this besides like one car chase and a half-hearted attempt at a fist fight.
Yeah.
And it's just filled to the brim with like first draft jokes and a plot that starts in the middle and then
Yeah.
ends like right before the end. So I don't it's just not good or
Yeah.
interesting.
No, it's strange.
It's odd, but it's also not bad enough to be like fun. It's just mostly boring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I found myself wondering when it was gonna end.
I spent most because so I accidentally subjected my wife to this movie because we were laying in bed on Saturday and I had to get up and go to work the next day, and I was like, shit, I'm not gonna have time to watch Paul Blart before we record. And so she was like, well, just turn it on and watch it now. And I was like, okay. And boy, oh boy, she was not paying attention at all.
Yeah.
Like we watched probably the first 10 minutes together, and then she was on TikTok after that, which
there you
who
go.
can blame her. It's not interesting. It's just not.
No. I there's one part, well, when we go into the spoilers, there's one part where I just could not watch due to secondhand embarrassment.
Yes.
And then I towards about 2/3 of the way through, I was kind of paying attention, but I was also playing a game on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's not that funny.
No, it's really not.
And it wasn't like it was so boring.
It's astoundingly dull.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in spoilers. So without I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Would you recommend somebody watch this?
If I knew that they had this kind of sense of humor, or they had the same, I guess, personality as some of the people in this movie, maybe. But it's a hard maybe. But other than that, I would recommend it as a drinking game, I think, is what I would do.
Okay.
But aside from that, no.
I would recommend this to the dumbest person I know, and probably nobody else.
Yeah.
Because look, the thing is for me, right? I'm not like a comedy like expert or anything. Yeah, or an aficionado, but I'm an easy laugh, right? It doesn't take much to make me chuckle, right?
Right.
And most of this movie made me dead silent. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
There was one or two jokes where I was like, "Oh, that's funny," but the rest of it is just like it is the most like fucking. I can't even like middle of the road, like easiest joke in the world. 90% of the jokes can be chalked up to Kevin James is fat, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And it's really not that funny. I mean, it's like maybe in 2009 this was peak humor, but I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
feeling even then some of these jokes are just not that funny.
No.
And yeah, it's just but I mean, I did it to myself cuz like this movie is produced by Happy Madison Productions, which is Adam Sandler's production company. And Adam Sandler's humor is not my humor at all. And so I'm just like, I knew I wasn't going to, because I've seen this before. I watched it when I was a kid. And I just knew watching it as an adult, I'm like, I'm going to not like this.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I didn't like it. So if you've listened to enough of the show and you have any sensibility that is similar to mine, just watch something. Just do anything else.
Literally anything else.
I'm sure you have clothes to fold or something. Go do that.
Yeah. My coworker, because we had done like a short episode of actors that had like actors that irk us, or that we just can't stand and we won't watch their movies. And I had mentioned Adam Sandler.
Yes.
And when my coworker found out about this, he was like, what do you have against Adam Sandler? I'm like, he's obnoxious.
Yeah.
And he thinks I hate Adam Sandler. I don't hate Adam Sandler. I just think he's not funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I will give credit to Adam Sandler and Kevin James, because they're good friends, whatever, and they're always in each other's movies. When you watch like behind the scenes with them and when you hear stories from Hollywood or whatever, supposedly they're both like the nicest guy in Hollywood, right?
Right,
Just
yeah.
very approachable, very friendly, down to earth, but they're not funny. Like
No.
Kevin James has his funny moments in other things, but he should not be writing his own comedy because he's not funny. It's just
No.
Like I said, every joke is the punchline is exactly what you expect it to be, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a moment where Kevin James is like having like a nacho eating contest with another fat guy, and then he takes a drink of lemonade and they're like, that's not lemonade, it's a margarita. It's like you're watching a bad version of like the Three Stooges or something. Like it's just not but it doesn't he's not charismatic enough to like carry this movie across.
No.
I guess like he is funny in his own way when you see him in other things, but like in this movie he's the worst guy. Like he just I am not rooting for Paul Blart. I want Paul Blart to get shot in the face. I think he's the worst.
Yeah. No, he's a real I don't know. He's just like one of those insufferable. I bet you he was the kid in class that would be like, did we have homework? Oh, do you forget to assign homework? Like, shut the fuck up. You absolute tool. Fuck.
And like the trope character, like the what's the word I'm looking for? The archetypal character that Paul Blart is, right? Which is the innocent whatever who, maybe he's not the most skilled, but he stands by his morals and he, will do it at all costs. There are so many better examples of that archetype.
Yes.
And Paul Blart, like, why do we keep saying his name? His name is basically a joke about fart, right? It's Paul Blart sounds like fart, right? Great. But he's not cool. He's not nice.
Nope.
He's like, he runs over a dog in the first 5 minutes of the movie. He's annoying. Like
He's
everyone
creepy.
around him hates him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's creepy. He basically stalks that woman.
I know. He's mean to his mom. He's like, he's a bad person. And in
Yeah.
any other movie, he would have been shot in the face in the first 10 minutes of the movie as cannon fodder.
Yes.
But for some reason, we're supposed to root for him.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the worst.
He is the worst.
I don't like Paul Blart.
I also don't like Paul Blart. I also don't like that pen salesman guy.
Oh, he sucks. Yeah.
He was over the top unbearable.
Yes.
I think he could have toned it down just a little bit.
Just a smidge. Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
hoping he would get a bullet between the eyes.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? This because I watched it on Saturday. We're recording on Tuesday. I've had like 5 days to think about this movie, right? And all I can think of is that if they had gotten like a different actor, right? And instead of making this like an action comedy, just make it a straight up action movie and make it R-rated, this would have been a great movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
if you got it, like, made it real violent, right? Like, these are like violent terrorists, and you've got a mall, like, that's a great idea for a movie, right?
Yeah.
The idea of like a mall security guard is the only person able to take down all these terrorists. That's a great idea. Love it.
Yeah.
Don't put Kevin James in the role.
No. God,
Anybody else.
Honestly, I was sitting here and like towards the end, I was like, this is just like knockoff Die Hard.
It is knockoff Die Hard, but it's a bad version of knockoff Die Hard.
Yeah, it's like there's like Kroger brands, right? So there's like your name brand shit, then there's your Kroger brand, but then there's that like weird fucked up like knockoff shit that has just like the most. It's like Oreos, right? You have Oreos, and then you have like the Kroger brand of whatever, but then you have this like no name weird company. It's like cookies and cream cookie. That's what this movie was.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he watched Die Hard and went, I want to make this into a comedy.
Yeah.
But then he just ruined it.
I think so. I think that's a perfectly plausible explanation. And look,
Die Hard's good.
Die Hard is great. And I want to, at some point, I want to talk about, there is a version of this movie that is good and it exists. And there's this movie called Security, and it stars Antonio Banderas, right? And this was made a couple of years ago, so it's like an older Antonio Banderas, but he still looks great, right?
Yeah.
And he plays a former like army veteran who gets a job as like a security guard at a mall, right? He's like a night guard, and then the mall gets like invaded by terrorists, and he has to like, you know, fight the terrorists to save this little girl. And it's great. It's like it's like a low budget, like, you know, just straight up action movie, and it's fantastic. And this movie could have been that movie, but instead it's Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah.
And for some godforsaken reason, this movie made like $150 million, and they made another one.
I did see that. And apparently last year I found this article because when I Googled the movie title to see where I could watch it.
Yeah.
And you know how Google will give you recommendations?
Yeah.
Or like suggestions, like, is this what you're trying to type? I saw Paul Blart Mall Cop, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, and then Paul Blart Mall Cop 3. And I was like, no, they didn't make 3 of these. I clicked on it. I found an article last year. I guess they're thinking about making a third one.
Yes, I have a quote from Kevin James.
Oh boy.
So when he was asked about it in January of 2022, Kevin James said, yeah, well, we've got to work that one out. I would love that. I don't know what the story is yet, but it was so much fun shooting in Vegas, which is where the second one was shot. That was a great time. Thanks, Kevin James.
Great. That was real enthusiastic.
Yeah, so they will probably make a second one or a third one. Speaking of the second one, The second one is somehow worse than the first one.
Huh.
I've not watched it. I've not seen it, but it's got like a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. And by all accounts, it's just like a soulless, awful movie. You know how at the end of this one, he's like, he gets the girl or whatever, and then he's like, I'm just gonna remain a mall cop. First 5 minutes of the second one, divorced, right?
Why?
It's like, how do you make this guy sadder? Divorced dad.
Divorced.
Great.
Jesus. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's like National Treasure.
Yeah.
That irked me a little bit when I watched the second National Treasure and they had broken up.
Yeah.
Now they kind of had done a good job about like explaining why they broke up. But I was like, what then was the fucking point
Right.
of everything? Like, was this just a situationship? Like, you were just like, tensions were high, you were horny, you survived all this shit, might as well bone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always say don't sleep with your coworkers.
That's right. Exactly.
It's a bad idea. Anyway, yeah, terrible movie.
Yeah. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share something really quick with you. And I think you will enjoy this. So earlier I mentioned the director. His name is a guy named Steve Carr. Now he has genuinely made just a bunch of crap. He made like Dr. Dolittle 2, the one with Eddie Murphy.
Good.
He made this movie called Rebound, which is this like basketball comedy with like Martin Lawrence, which granted, as a kid, I loved, but as an adult, I would probably hate it as a film. So he's just one of those guys who's made just a bunch of crap, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up one of the things he's made because I think it's something close to your heart. He's famously one of the directors on Movie 43, which is a film that you're very familiar with.
Yep.
And he directed the segment called The Proposition, which have you seen Movie 43?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You have? Okay. Well, then I'm just going to read this out for, I'm going to read out the whole synopsis for everybody listening. Because you've seen it. So this is just to jog your memory, right?
Yeah.
So here's the synopsis from Wikipedia. Julie and Doug have been in a relationship for a year. When he attempts to propose, she reveals that she is into coprophilia, asking him to defecate on her in the bedroom. Urged by his best friend Larry and others to go along with it, he eats a large meal and drinks a bottle of laxative prior to the event. Wanting foreplay, Julie is angered when Doug wants to finish, and she runs into the street. Chasing after her, he is then hit by a car and graphically evacuates his bowels everywhere. She cradles him and apologizes, covered and surrounded by his excrement on the road. She exclaims that it is the most beautiful thing she has ever seen and accepts his marriage proposal. See, I couldn't see your face on the call because I was reading that, and I just looked back, and Grayson is dismayed.
So here's the thing about that whole segment.
Yeah.
I know they were kind of sugarcoating and using scientific terminology. Here's the thing about that whole segment. So he proposes.
Yeah.
And she says, I want you to shit on my chest.
Yeah.
He then goes to a party and he reveals to his friend, he's like, yeah, man, she asked me to like poop on her chest or something. It was weird. And he was like, well, hold on a minute. Did she say poop or did she say shit? Because there's a clear distinction. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so he's like, yeah, what you gotta do, man, is you gotta eat this big ass burrito. It's got like all this like hot sauce and like beans and all this kind of shit. It's like 4 pounds. You gotta eat that. You gotta eat this other thing, and then you gotta drink all this laxative, and you should be good to go. And then yeah, when he gets and then yeah, they're like doing the foreplay. Yeah, she just gets upset because he's like, I literally cannot hold this any longer. Can we please just get this over with?
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't love me because you're not taking this seriously. And then, yeah, they run out on the street. He gets hit by a car, and it is disgusting.
Yeah.
It is like a fountain of shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, like, I don't remember it as vividly. I can't remember if he was wearing pants or not because I'm like, how does that happen? If you're like wearing pants, how does it get that much coverage? Like it, like I cannot put into words how vile it was.
I'm very sorry, everybody.
It's disgusting. Here's the thing. Don't ever watch movie 43.
No.
It is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Honest to God, I would rather watch Mexican American.
Good. Yes. There are so there's like movies that exist in the world that like movie buffs like to make a point out of, like, well, I've seen this because I'm such a like tough motherfucker or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I have 2 movies that in my whole life I will never watch because I'm just like, I don't have to, right?
Yeah.
I'm not out here to win some fucking big dick movie guy contest, right? Who cares? And those 2 movies are a Serbian film, which is this super graphic, awful horror movie. Got all kinds of bad stuff in it. And movie 43. I just don't have to see it. I know it's bad, and I'm fine with that. It's got nothing in it that I'm interested in.
There's a whole section in that movie about, it's like this whole segment about like an advertisement for this product called the Eye Lady.
Yeah.
And it's just straight up a naked woman, but it's like it's like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole joke is that men are buying it to fuck it.
Yeah.
And so they have to move the exhaust port from the vagina because people are getting their dicks mutilated.
Yeah.
By this thing. It's the worst.
It's bad. Yeah. I have no prospect about watching it. I got nothing. I also wanted to point out that the segment we just talked about, the proposition, it's Chris Pratt. So the guy shitting everywhere is Chris Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in case you were like, oh, Chris Pratt, great actor, great guy. He's in movie 43. So just keep that in mind next time.
Here's the other thing. When you look at the cast list for movie 43, you wonder how they got these people. Because I think Chris Evans is in it.
Yeah, there's a ton of people. Like Hugh Jackman's in it. He plays a guy with testicles on his chin.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not for James Gunn is one of the directors on it. Yeah, it's not worth your time. Don't watch it. Don't watch this movie either, but that one also don't bother. It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And I think Steve Carr should be tried and executed for
no, or at least put in jail for the rest of his life. Like he should not be making movies.
Like I'm mad I had to read that synopsis. But whatever. So I had something else I wanted to bring up. So one of the things I love, and I feel like you have a love for this as well. I love a truly strange like Google review.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, this movie has attracted some truly strange Google reviews, right? You go onto the Google review site for Paul Blart Mall Cop. Why do I keep saying it? It's the worst movie name in the world. And you scroll through. A lot of it is just people taking the piss, right? And being like, this is truly a poetic masterpiece made by blah, blah, blah. It's like people just being dumb.
Yeah.
But I found this review and I clicked through this person's account and I genuinely cannot tell if this is satire. So I'm just going to read it out to you. So this person wrote, this hilarious movie is about an overweight man named Paul Blart who becomes a cop working at a mall. Plenty of things happen, which completely make this a typical slapstick movie. He tries to flirt with a young, very attractive blonde, But it doesn't go too well until the end, where he saves her from the leader of a bunch of thugs who take over the mall. But it's not so easy because he has severe problems with his blood sugar, and every so and so minute he needs to eat plain sugar from a vial or vessel. I don't know which is which, or else he will fall on the floor and nearly go unconscious and be completely incapable of nearly everything. I won't give any more spoilers, but I highly recommend this for older twins or tweens due to some coarse language and strong slapstick violence, despite the PG rating. Please watch it! Anyway, God bless you and have a wonderful life and be a great person. Bye! I cannot tell. I also want to point out the person who wrote that review has a profile picture which is Jesus with the crown of thorns on his head. So I'm tending to think this person is serious. But yeah, they wrote a lot of reviews on a lot of different movies. A lot of the comments are about Trump. So again, I'm pretty sure this person is serious. But
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I think Trump supporters would love this movie.
they would love this movie. Yes. It's exactly their kind of humor. It's making fun of fat people and women. And minorities. And, it's their worst fear. People on skateboards with long hair.
Yep.
It's got stuff they love. Advertising. This whole movie is just one big advertisement.
Yep.
It's got segues.
It's got the police.
It's got spray tanning. It's got, I don't know. I got nothing else.
This movie is upsetting.
It is upsetting. If you love Trump, you'll love this movie. I'm telling you right now. This is for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I'd recommend it to the dumbest person I know. So
there you go. That tends to be a Trump supporter.
Tends to be. Yeah.
Got him.
We pull no punches on this show.
Nope. Though, so I mentioned there's one part that I had just the most horrible secondhand embarrassment. And I just could not watch it. It was the bar scene where he's getting drunk.
Yes. Yeah.
I could not.
Mm-hmm.
He got 10 times worse, and he was so creepy.
Yeah.
He did horrible things.
Yep.
I literally spent that whole scene like this.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, I can't watch it.
No, it's
I
awful.
almost just muted it and waited until it was over.
Yeah.
Because he's like touching people.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking.
I don't know. This was in the era where it was just like, you want to get a woman? Be creepy. Just go be creepy, and then she'll want to date you after you wear her down long enough,
Yep.
Just keep bugging her till she dates you.
Yep.
And then as soon as you get married, ignore her. Ignore your wife.
Yep. Never ignore your wife.
Don't ignore your wife. And don't bug women. Just leave them alone for the most part.
They just want to be left alone.
Just in fact, most people just leave them alone. If you see me, leave me alone. Don't.
Yeah.
No. No, you can approach me. Just don't be weird. Just don't.
Right.
Don't bug me.
Yeah. Don't be a weirdo.
Don't be a weirdo. Just leave women alone. Just leave everybody alone. I also just want to say, right, as far as the humor in this movie goes, it's fine that Kevin James makes fun of himself for being fat, but there is nothing inherently wrong with being overweight.
No.
And that trope of just like fat people falling over is not funny because it's there is nothing inherently funny about being overweight. Some people just carry more weight. That's just how life works. And people get so I'm a horrible like lurker on like Instagram and stuff. I love looking at comments. It's one of my favorite pastimes. But you go into any video where like a woman who is slightly above average weight is doing anything, just anything,
literally anything,
and you go in the comments, the top comment is always some fucking dweeb who's like, I just wouldn't be with a woman who's plus size because we both need to make healthy choices. And the man in the profile picture looks like Kevin James. It's like, look in the mirror. Look at who you are. Also, who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm.
you're going to die someday.
Yes.
And no matter whether you're healthy now, healthy later, also being overweight doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy. You can be perfectly healthy and carry a little extra weight. It's fine.
It's actually better to be a little bit chunky. That means, you have like the thing that bothers me the most, right, is like when action stars dehydrate themselves.
Yes.
Right? People look so much better when they're hydrated and well fed.
Yes.
Like fuck, I can't think of any actors right now, but I know I've seen actors who like they don't do any of that prep and they're so fucking strong.
Yeah.
They're so powerful.
Well,
and I'm like,
generally, go ahead.
I'm like, I don't want to fucking mess with that guy. He'll fuck me up.
And generally speaking, like, if you look at like power lifters and like strength, like strongmen and stuff, they're not buff. They're just huge, right? Because the more mass you have, the more mass you can lift. Like that's just physics, right?
Yeah.
And so generally speaking, when you see somebody who is just fucking shredded, they're probably not that strong, right?
No.
Like they might be some sort of physically fit, but if you tried to get them to run a marathon or something, they're probably going to collapse on the ground, right? Like,
right.
And look, I don't want to shatter everybody's dreams, right? I'm just going to put this out there. When you see like somebody, for example, you brought him up earlier, Chris Evans, right? You see Chris Evans for Captain America, right? And he looks great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you this. He's on steroids.
Yep.
100,000%. You cannot look like that without steroids. You just can't.
No.
You can work out all you want. You can eat as much plain chicken breast as you want. You need human growth hormone to look like that.
Yes.
And 99% of those guys are on steroids.
Yep.
Once in a while, you get an action star who is not on steroids, right? Jason Momoa, for example, is a guy who looks like somebody who can look that way. Because he's big, but he's not shredded. He's just big.
He's huge.
Probably not on gear. Everybody else, they're got it shooting up their veins. And that's fine. It's not against the law. But just be aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real bummer.
It is a bummer. And if you want to look like that, find somebody to give you steroids. But
and if you want to, because you can do like bodybuilding.
Yes.
And there are ways to do it. You won't look exactly like they do in the movies, but when you go and look at bodybuilders and you look at their like regiment, they're not like before a competition, they'll cut down on like water and food because they're trying to highlight their body and the muscles that they have.
Right.
But when they're actually in their they're just building their body, they are eating a ton.
Yes.
They're eating a lot and they're exercising a lot.
Yes.
It's only when they go to compete that they really cut down on that stuff.
Right.
And same thing with like, heavy lifters and like power lifters and all that. There's one that shows up on my TikTok occasionally. He's sort of retired and he doesn't do the whole like powerlifting thing anymore. But he talked about his diet while he was doing that. It is like just for breakfast, it's like 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
And it's the most food I've ever seen in one sitting.
Yeah.
It's insane. And they can finish it all.
Yeah.
They like I used to follow Dwayne Johnson on
me too. Yeah.
On Instagram, and he would share his photos of his meals.
Yeah.
So much food.
Yeah.
But like he has to, because that's the only way to maintain that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? With how much they're working out, they are burning so many calories.
Yeah.
And so,
I just wanted to share something really quick.
yeah.
This has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but so I also used to follow The Rock on Instagram. I unfollowed him because he was doing too many tequila ads and it just got annoying.
Yeah.
But what used to make me laugh was whenever he would do his like, hey, it's Sunday night and I'm eating my, waffles with fucking whatever on them.
Yeah.
Right? He would always post a photo and he'd be like, and here I am watching this new documentary on Netflix. And it would be the tiniest laptop you've ever seen in your life.
Yep.
It's like, Dwayne, you are so rich. You can't get a TV and roll it into your kitchen. You gotta watch it on a fucking Lenovo like MacBook,
It's like a 10-year-old
Yeah.
fucking shitty ass brick of a computer.
It's got that little, nipple cursor thing on it. You're like,
It's got a
Dwayne,
place for a CD.
yeah. You're rich now, buddy. You can buy a TV.
Yeah, like splurge a little. Fuck.
He's like, nope, this thing still works. It's got 100 megabytes of memory.
Yep. No, that was always very funny. I always like seeing his cheat days.
Yes.
Because like he would eat just like a tub of cookies.
Yeah.
But they were like homemade and they look so good. But they were huge.
Yeah, they'd be like that big. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, yep, cheat day. And then he would eat them all.
Yeah. There's another guy who again, I have my issues with The Rock on various things, but one of the things I do like about him is that his body is realistic for what he does.
Yes.
Right? Like he's very large. But when you see him, he does not have abs because he doesn't cut like that. Like he's just big, right?
Yeah.
He's got a huge chest, huge arms, huge legs, and he's got the rest of his body that makes sense for that composition. He doesn't have that weird dehydrated steroid body that you see a lot of the like superhero actors do. So I respect him for that.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he's obviously just doing what it is that he says he's doing, which I respect.
Yeah. Same.
But god damn, dude, cut down on the tequila ads. Like,
yeah,
fucking hell.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard there's not really that good.
No, it's not. Terramana tequila.
Yeah.
I've also tried his energy drinks. Oh my god, they're awful.
Terrible.
They're really bad.
What energy drink does he make?
Zoa, I think it's called. It's got like a what do you call it? Like a Pacific Islander kind of design on it.
Okay.
They're like sugar free and they're supposed to be like, good for you or whatever, but they taste like piss. So
yeah.
He also did that rap that time with Tech Nine.
Yep. I try to forget about that.
Yeah.
Constantly.
It's all about drive. It's all about power.
Yeah. Sure is, buddy.
Yep. And then he drank his tequila at the end of it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really high quality stuff.
I like how most of our discussion about Paul Blart Mall Cop has been about literally anything else.
Except Paul Blart Mall Cop. It's just, look, bottom line, terrible movie.
Yes, it is terrible.
Terrible movie. I know we've already said it. There was just nothing engaging about it.
No.
I don't think I ever once laughed. I think I did a lot of what you did, which is, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I didn't physically laugh.
No, there is one joke that I think is like pretty good, right? It's a decent joke. And it's where he's got the terrorist on the ropes, right? And he flicks the hot sauce in his eye. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the terrorist is like, whatever. And they're all telling him, like, go get him. And he's like, ah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I should have capitalized on that. Like, that is pretty funny. That, like, in context, it's a decent joke.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie is not funny.
No. Also, if you get hot sauce in your eye, you do not recover that fast.
No. God, no.
If you've ever been around chili or hot sauce and you've gotten it in your eye, it is a nightmare. You want to die.
Yes. Yeah. I also,
I
want, go ahead.
Oh, it's not fun. It's terrible.
No.
I don't recommend it.
I also want to be clear about something, right? Because I feel like somebody's going to come at us and be like, you guys are just pretentious, right? You just don't, whatever. I love stupid humor. I'm a big
same.
fan of stupid humor. Like, really dumb jokes can make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't like this movie is because none of the jokes feel like jokes. They're
Right.
sight gags that aren't funny. They're
Right.
like Kevin James running into a car on a moped or whatever. It's not a moped, a Segway.
Yeah.
It's just not funny. And they
No.
cut it in a way that is not funny. Nobody reacts to it in a funny way. Like, I'm a fan of stupid comedy, but this is
Yeah.
it's not even stupid enough to be funny.
Right.
Like, if he hit the car and exploded, I would laugh, right?
Right. Yeah, that would have been funny.
Right. Like, if the terrorist was like, you know, like arguing with somebody and then he shot them in the face, I would laugh because it would be like unexpected. But
Right.
every joke goes where you think it's going to go. And that is not funny.
No. No, yeah. Cuz the whole point of a joke is you don't know what's about to happen. And so
Right.
then when it does, it's not what you expected
Right.
and it's funny.
Right. Like, I will give you an example, right? This movie is intended to be serious, but this moment made me laugh harder than anything that we've watched all year. And it's the moment in Mexican American where Damien Chapa, who at that point in his life was a good almost 50 years old, gets thrown onto a glass table that does not break, and
Yeah.
he just rolls off of it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it looks really painful and really funny. And
Yep.
it's not supposed to be funny,
Nope.
but it's funnier than everything else in this movie.
Yep. Because you know they expected it to break. They wanted that classic like shatter through a glass table, and it didn't happen.
He hits it so hard.
Yeah.
And it clangs, and then he just rolls off of
He
it.
just rolls off. Yep.
So if
God.
you're gonna watch something, go watch that. It's way
Right.
funnier. It's
Yep.
not as boring. Like,
Nope. It keeps you on your toes.
It does. And the problem is the last two bad movies we've watched have just been bad because they're boring. And
Yep.
that's not as fun to talk about.
Nope. I mean, notice how we went on a whole tangent about shit that wasn't even Paul Blart Mall Cop.
No.
Because we don't. It's
It's
don't
just
watch
not
this movie.
anything. No,
No.
don't watch it. Unless you are in the mood for the worst kind of humor, then
Yeah.
go ahead, have at it, have
I
fun.
guess.
You know?
Or like I said, make a drinking game out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it's funny if you are high as a kite, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you are just blitzing your head off, then maybe
Yeah.
it's funny. But I can't imagine a scenario where it is.
No. It is very much. I could tell that this was like a early 2000s movie.
Yes. very
Because
much so.
if this had come out now, people would be like, "This is the worst goddamn thing ever,"
Yeah.
and it would have flopped. It would have made like $2.
Yeah. And it's what they needed to do was either tone it back, get rid of the comedy,
Yeah,
and just make it a straight up action movie, or go 100% the other way, right? Like,
yeah,
just go for broke, right? Like, Paul Blart gets on his Segway, drives off a cliff, and just floats away, right? That's hilarious. If I saw that, I would cry with laughter.
yeah,
You know, he
yeah.
gets on the terrorist skateboard and they start making out or whatever, you know,
Right.
something unexpected.
Yeah. If you think we're pretentious, just know that we will defend every single Fast and Furious movie.
Yes. To death.
Yeah. Like, we are not pretentious.
No. The first time I watched Fast and Furious 7, right? And there's that moment where Dom is on top of the parking garage.
Bro.
Jason Statham rolls up and he pulls out two wrenches.
Yep.
And they have a wrench fight. I laughed with so much joy
Yeah.
that like the world felt okay again, you know,
Yep.
like the skies opened up. But
Yeah.
when you watch Paul Blart fucking tooting around on his goddamn Segway, you
Yep.
feel like the world is gonna end. Like it's
Yeah.
so not funny. You just want everyone in the movie to be punished. Like
Yep. I like how there's only also two settings in
yeah.
this entire movie. It's
Mhm.
either his house or the mall.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
I think that's part of the reason why it's so boring is because there's no new scenery.
Right.
There's like nothing happens.
Yeah. I also want to look, this is such a nothing nitpick critique, but I think it's important to talk about, right? Something that is important to action movies, especially something like Die Hard, which is like a locked in, you're in one location. It is important to understand the layout of the place that you're in, right?
Yeah.
And to bring it back to a movie I brought up earlier, there's this movie called Security. And in that movie, there's a scene where Antonio Banderas, as the new security guard, gets a tour of the mall, right?
Yeah.
That he's working in. And they go, there's this store, here's this store, here's where our office is, right? And the scene itself is innocuous. You don't really learn anything, but it serves the purpose of showing you this is where the action is taking place. When you're here, you know that this guy is over here, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can follow the action. Where is anything in Paul Blart Mall Cop? You don't know where any of the stores are. You
Nope.
don't know where the office is. It's
Nope.
intentionally confusing. And so you don't give a shit about where he is at any given point. You're like, is he right next to the terrace or is he on the other side of the mall? You don't know. So
No.
who gives a shit?
Yeah. Also, there's a bank in the mall.
Right. What the fuck is that?
That is, I don't think I've ever been to a single mall that has just a full blown like Bank of America.
Yeah.
Like I've never walked in to fucking Cottonwood and there's just
No.
Wells Fargo.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
gotta go to the bank. Let me hop down over to Coronado real quick. No.
Right. Yeah, it's bizarre. And yes, it's just a big advertisement. You get an advertisement for Victoria's Secret
Yep.
and fucking whatever that restaurant they went to. It's like a Ruby Tuesdays or something. And fucking,
Rainforest Cafe.
yes, Rainforest Cafe gets a whole fucking section in it that is just one big ad.
There's one explosion in this whole movie,
Yes.
and it's not even that good.
No. Also, he should be arrested for destruction of property.
Yes, that was yeah. Yep.
He should be arrested for about 15 different things throughout this film. But
Yeah.
yet, also, why does he get to take the Segway home?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Is that his personal Segway that he brings to work?
I don't know.
Does he
I
not
hope
own a
not.
car?
I don't think he has a car. I think his mom has a car, but his mom won't let him drive it.
So he just
Probably because he
segues to
runs
work?
over dogs.
Well, yeah, because he's a fucking nut. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Getting fired up about Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Fuck this movie.
So, I have one last thing to bring up before we go.
Yeah.
So, this is just kind of a fun fact to keep in your back pocket.
Okay.
So this movie, it's part of a phenomena that is known as a twin film. So occasionally, and it happens like maybe every few years or so, two movies will come out in a year that have astoundingly similar plots.
Yeah.
So this movie has a twin film called Observe and Report, which is a Seth Rogen like action comedy that is about a mall cop. It's a bit more bizarre. I would also not recommend watching that movie because it's got a weird like date rape joke in it that's not funny. So don't watch that movie either. But yeah, it happens every so often where, and for some reason in the same year, two movies will come out that have like the same plot. A good example is like a few years ago there was um uh London has or no Olympus Has Fallen and White House
Oh
Down.
yeah.
They came out in the same year. It was about the president getting attacked at the White House and a guy has to save him. Um the same year that Twister came out, there was also like another tornado movie that came out. Um so it happens all the time.
Huh.
It's just a fun thing to kind of keep in mind. Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. Now you know.
Yeah.
Well, we're finally at the end.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I hate this movie.
So what would you rate this movie out of 10 segways ridden backwards?
I don't know, like a 4.
That's generous.
That is generous. I'll give it like a 3.
Okay. That's that's fair.
Yeah, 2.8.
Okay.
2.8, 2.7.
Uh-oh, it's dropping.
Fuck it, 2.5. And that's it. Final offer, 2.5.
Okay. So I just want to put into perspective. You gave Ballistic X versus Sever a point. What'd you give it? You gave it a 0.1.
Oh yeah.
And you gave Mexican American 0.5 out of 10.
Oh. Okay. All right. Final offer. What was X versus 0.1?
You give it 0.1.
I'll give Paul Blart Mall Cop 0.2.
Wow. Okay. So right in between.
Yeah, because I said that I would rather watch Mexican American
Yes.
than Paul Blart Mall Cop. So 0.2.
Okay. I give this movie it's like a 2. It's like a 2 movie.
2.
It's like
yeah.
it's like for the most part it was made competently, right? Like
Yeah.
it's edited well, it's shot fine. Like there's nothing egregiously weird about it. It's just not good. It's not funny.
No.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I don't like anybody in it. Like I would never watch it again unless somebody put a gun to my head. Like
I feel like who's the actor that played the love interest? What was her name?
her name is
I know the character's name is Amy.
Jima Mays or Jima.
I feel like out of all of the actors in this movie, she was the only one that I like kind of liked.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of moments where I thought that maybe she was like, what am I doing in this movie?
Yeah.
Cause yeah, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of liked her, and I felt bad for her, honestly.
The only character that I like, or not that his character, I didn't like his character, but the only actor who I enjoyed in this movie was the guy who plays Paul Blart's boss. And he's like,
that old outside. Guy.
Yeah. And he's like, he's got like the list of like one-liners.
Yeah.
I thought he was pretty good. Like he sold his lines pretty well.
Yeah.
He probably got a chuckle out of me at some point, but
yeah.
Nobody else is putting in any effort. Bobby Cannavale, who plays the surprise villain at the end, he looks like he's asleep the whole movie. I mean, he's just not even trying.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, everybody in this movie sucks.
Yeah.
But anyway, that does it for this episode. And if you like this episode, what should they do?
Thumbs up, comment, rate us, give us 5 stars. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Email us, Viva La Action, gmail.com.
Absolutely.
We're on the Instagrams and the TikToks and the Facebooks. Viva La Action at all those places.
Hell yeah.
Share it.
Yes.
Spread it around like a venereal disease.
You made that joke last time.
Did I? I was afraid of
Yeah.
that. You can cut that out.
Okay. Yeah. Send us an email at vivalaaction@gmail.com. Harass me in the comments of our latest YouTube video
About that movie.
About that movie or that random old guy. I didn't even share this with you. I gotta show you this comment.
Oh boy.
Derailing right at the end.
Classic.
So
Classic Viva La Action.
So this guy commented on our most recent video. His name was Nikolai Kostov 2272. And he commented, "That's why it's here. ... A place for troubled idiots." And I don't know what that means.
What?
I don't know if we're the idiots or if the people watching it are idiots. So I responded to him and I said, "I have no clue what this means, but thank you for commenting." And he never responded. So
yeah, all right. Well,
anyway, you can comment that if you want.
Yeah. Some weird nonsense.
Vague thing.
Yeah. Confuse us. There you go. I challenge all of you. Confuse us with a comment.
Confuse us. Comment something that is
just
strange and specific.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yep. Just make us go, huh? What an odd thing to say.
Yeah. Make me go, I don't know if you're insulting me or not, but thank you.
Yep. If you do, we'll read it on the podcast.
If I can look at your comment and go, huh, then you've done your job.
Yeah. Yep. If you make Santi send it to me with just a question mark,
then you've
good
done your
on
job.
you. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
You'll find Grayson swimming in a ball pit in a mall in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And you'll find me hitting a Subaru and exploding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Adios. Bye.